Yes, sirree. Here we go on a Tuesday morning under sunny skies here in Grenada. Thank you very much for joining us for today's edition of Good Day Grenada. I'm George Grant, and today is the 19th day of November 2019, folks. Yeah, it's a good morning, but I'll tell you, I'm a little bit uneasy because I haven't heard from Ray this morning, and I've been trying to reach him since about 20 after 7 this morning. No answer, and that's very, very unusual. This being a Tuesday morning, Ray usually joins us, and I'm still hoping that we will hear from him. It's very unlike him to, pull out and not say anything. So I'm hoping that we will hear from him throughout the course of the morning. Nevertheless, we're going to have some fun here this morning, and we're going to learn some stuff. You know, last night I attended the Patrimonial Awards, annual Patrimonial Awards of the Willie Redhead Foundation. That was held down at the Radisson Beach Resort. And after I got home, I prepared for this morning's program. And then I decided, hey, let me just surf the net a little bit. And I came across a piece about the Panama Canal. That's something I've always been very curious about and never really followed up on it. So I sat and watched a few videos. And let me tell you, that is a fascinating piece of work out there. I think what I'm about to show you guys this morning, and gals, will be of particular interest to Margaret, because Margaret has gone on a number of cruises. And what I'm gonna do is show you a trip through the Panama Canal in only 7 minutes. In only 7 minutes, because this was done time-lapse aboard a cruise ship. Yeah, you guys are going to be floored. We're doing that this morning as part of a educational process. And whoa, there, Ray, man, come on! You just made me wet my diapers. I've been trying to reach you. Anyhow, just a quick look. We haven't got him set up yet, but just a quick look. There he is. Ray is going to be with us. See, there he is. Wow. Thank you, Lord. Just wondering what I'm going to do for half an hour this morning without Ray Roberts. Anyhow, so yeah, we're going to show you this trip through the Panama Canal. It is an incredible piece of video. It's only about, I think about seven or 9 minutes. I'm not sure, somewhere in that neighborhood. Then we do have for you the National Report. And yeah, Ray's gonna be with us. Now, let's get down to brass tacks here and see who's who day and who do day. Hazel, congratulations again. Sawandi, Fabio, Sam, Kipling Francis, Tony Ben, Arthur Langine. Hey, good to see all of you folks. Thank you very much. You couldn't miss Ray, could you? Huh? Yeah. Well, I can't either. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We're blessed. We're blessed. Thank you very much. Okay, now, let's get down to crux of the matter here this morning. According to Wikipedia, okay, online, the Panama Canal is 51 miles in length. The widest ship it can accommodate is 93 3/4 feet. Get that? 93 3/4 feet. The longest ship the canal can accommodate is 1,200 feet. Today, Georgie Porgy is going to take you through the canal aboard a cruise ship in 7 minutes. Saddle up. Wowie, wowie, wowie. Time lapse. Now, I think there are 3 locks on this canal. I think this is probably the first one here. Watch what happens. Watch what happens. Ain't that fascinating? Now look here, look here. Huh? Incredible engineering. Look at that. Look at that. Here we go. The entire cruise ship is just rising there in the water, just rising. Dum, 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 dum. There's a lake it's actually going to traverse at one point. By the way, while you guys are watching this, I see that some of you are already commenting. Tony Ben says, hey guys, there are no pumps to lift or drop the ships to the different levels. Wow, ain't that fascinating? Huh? John says, Panama Canal, aren't they digging a parallel one now? I don't know, John, that's quite possible. That's quite possible. I haven't been following that. Tony also says he did a 6-hour trip through the Panama Canal, a daylight trip. Wow. Look at that, look at that. Tony's explaining here that this is all done by gravity. Well, thank you, Mr. Gravity. So, Tony, I'm imagining that you really did find this as fascinating as we are watching it, eh? Look at that. And by the way, he's responding to John. He says, it's finished now, so I guess there's a second canal. Okay. Okay, hey, maybe one of these days, I'll get to do that trip. Boy, I'll tell you, that would be something else. I'm not sure, but that might be the lake that it's going through there. And obviously, several cruise ships make it through there. I was also watching another video where, you know, the distance between the side of the ship and the side of the canal, I mean, it's sometimes just a matter of inches. Look at that. Look at that. Just a matter of inches. This video doesn't depict that very clearly. But another one of the videos I was watching last night certainly did show that. And sometimes, yes, sometimes they do scrape the sides. Okay, off goes cruise ship number 1 and followed by number 2. Wowie, wowie, wowie. Excuse me, I'm getting all choked up here. Tony Ben says, yeah, I'm a seaman that travels the world. Well, Tony boy, I'd love to sit and talk with you about some of your escapades one of these days. John says, water will always find its own level, so they let water in and out to create the lift effect. Okay. See the things you guys are learning here this morning? Clint Williams says, I've passed through there a couple of times, George. Sometimes they have to let water in depending on how big the ship is. Some ships would take 1 hour or more to go through. Ooh, okay. Margaret says, it's a fascinating piece of work. Mags, I bet you're just licking your lips, eh? Mags loves cruises. She really loves cruises. And I imagine you can put this one on your bucket list one of these days. Hey? Fascinating stuff. Okay, yeah. Well, thank you very much to Steve Noble and Moment in Time Productions for that little video there. Appreciate it. Let's see who else is there. TF Richards. I saw something earlier from TF. Just let me scroll back here for a minute. TF is saying, good day to all from Nevada. On the road again, eh, bro? Have a safe trip. Have a safe trip. Keep working hard, man. Let's scroll back down. John says the new one is wider for oil tankers. Yeah, well, one of the ships I saw which scraped its side last night, well, I saw the video last night, was an oil tanker. Margaret says, yeah, George, in some cases, the space between the wall and the ship is a matter of inches. Absolutely, girl, absolutely. Oh, and she says, hey, I've been there. Took my mom. Well, look at, so many of you here this morning have been through the canal. Why don't you arrange a trip for, people like moi? Yeah, one of these days, one of these days. And she also goes on to say, it's something she always wanted to do. It takes about 3 hours to go through a set of locks. Okay, yeah. And I can imagine all the passengers are on the side looking out at this, eh? Fascinated by what they're watching. Tony Ben says, this could not have happened without the lake and a lot of rain in the rain season. Okay, yeah. Okay, folks. Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed that piece about the Panama Canal. We're going to keep hunting for more stuff to keep you preoccupied so that every time you walk away from this program, there is a takeaway. You learn something. You learn something. It's not just damn old politics all the time. Okay, break time, and then we'll come back with the National Report.
Christmas safety tips. Always unplug Christmas tree lights before leaving home or going to sleep. Check your tree lights and outdoor lights for damage each year before you use them. Discard lights with frayed wires, loose connections, and cracked sockets. Do not overload your wall outlets or extension cords. Remind children never to touch lights or outlets. Select lights appropriately. Never use indoor lights outside or vice versa. Happy holidays from GRENADA.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas, will give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Welcome home.
With Grenada poised to record its 7th consecutive year of robust growth in 2019, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Dr. the Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, will present this country's 2020 budget on Wednesday, November 20th, outlining his government's plans to further drive the economy and spur investor confidence. Under the theme Towards Vision 2035, empowering our communities, growing our economy, protecting our environment, strengthening our institutions, Dr. Mitchell will lay out plans to forge ahead with a shared goal for the future, envisioned in the country's 2020 to 2035 National Sustainable Development Plan. The 2020 budget will be broadcast live on GIS Channel 22 and the GIS Facebook page. Beginning at 9 a.m., we will look at some of the government's major projects over the past year. From 9:30 a.m., there will be live commentary, and from 10 a.m., presentation of the 2020 fiscal package. Tune in to the Government Information Service and other stations for the live broadcast of the 2020 budget, Wednesday, November 20th, 2019.
Government negotiating team signs agreement for salary increase. Details of this story and more in the National Report. Welcome back. With the details to the news for Monday, November 18th, I am Sherry-Ann Noel. Following on the heels of the conclusion of negotiations with staff associations, which represent prison and police officers, the government negotiating team, the GNT, had signed an agreement for salary increases with the Prison Welfare Association. Agreements with the Grenada Manual Maritime and Intellectual Workers Union, Police Gazetted Officers Association, Police Welfare Association, and Prison Officers Welfare Associations were brokered during talks late Thursday and early Friday morning. All public officers represented by the unions and staff associations which have concluded negotiations will benefit from annual increases of 4% for each of the years covered in the new collective labor agreement. The 12% increase over 3 years is the largest settlement for public sector employees in the last 20 years. The overall cost for the settlement is $43.5 million, which means government will have to undertake extensive reallocation to fund the agreed wage increases. During Monday's signing, Cabinet Secretary Mrs. Beryl Isaac commended the Prison Welfare Association for placing its members' needs as priority.
Our negotiations with the Prison Welfare Association are always very cordial, and but we know that they fight very, very hard on behalf of their members because they have their members' interests at heart, and we appreciate that from where we stand. But we are happy to say that here we are this afternoon to sign the agreement which covers salary for the next few years.
Mr. Elijah Young of the Prison Welfare Association says he is happy that they have reached an agreement that both parties are happy with.
Our members had a lot of cry. The government negotiation team extend a lot of help to us other than outside of the salary negotiation, and we are very, very thankful for that. And we're looking forward to work together with the government negotiating team in the future and to extend the permanent secretary of our ministry. With all that said and done, I want to say thanks again on behalf of the prison welfare and the members and staff of Her Majesty's Prison.
Moving along, Grenada has started the conversation about accessible, affordable, timely, quality, universal health care with stakeholders and the Jaipur network. The first in a series of consultations began on Monday, where the public was introduced to the U.S. network and plans for the implementation of the national health insurance in Grenada. This is in keeping with the JIPA's 9-month commitment and contract to engage in broad-based frequent consultations. Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell said in order for Grenada to realize the dream of quality, affordable, improved health care, there must be proper management.
The healthcare system, the problems related to it is not a one-dimensional problem. It is not just about put more money. Sometimes I hear this. Hire more persons, hire more this. Yes, we may need all of the above. But the fact is, the management of the healthcare system is our fundamental problem. And it requires all on board, as I mentioned earlier on, to be able to get it right.
Health Minister Honorable Nicholas Steele says the intervention of JIPA is timely since Grenadians have not been satisfied with some aspect of the country's healthcare system. He says now is the time for Grenada to step up into universal health care and be on par with the world.
This is when we also recognize that while our healthcare system has improved, our healthcare system continues to have challenges and has, most importantly, created misery for many of our population due to the financial challenges, due to the inability to access healthcare at the right level, or most importantly, due to the fact that we do not have healthcare for all, universal healthcare coverage. It is recognized that the closest model to date for universal healthcare coverage involves a national health insurance of some form or fashion. It is this that I hope we begin the serious discussion of not its possibility, of not whether it is needed or not, but the serious discussion of implementation.
Health policy specialist, Grenadian-born Dr. Kester Ned, who is also the chairman and CEO of the JIPA, stressed the importance of stakeholder buy-in and involvement. He says national health insurance is a subject of national interest, and Grenada's health sector can be the envy of the region if there is consolidative and collective bargaining among stakeholders.
Manage healthcare, and we're going to talk more about this. I've already told you about value-based healthcare. We're also going to talk more about that. So our goal is to present to you cost-effective, predictive healthcare modeling and sustainable system of care. The way to do this, and we call that the powerful winning strategy for NHI, is to consolidate and collectively bargain. The three elements: the healthcare providers, the entities who pay for care, and the consumers of care. We believe that in Grenada, This will be a first for the Caribbean. If we're able to implement a model where we could consolidate the resources we have, we will be the most powerful healthcare delivery system in the region.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
With Grenada poised to record its 7th consecutive year of robust growth in 2019, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Dr. the Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, will present this country's 2020 budget on Wednesday, November 20th, outlining his government's plans to further drive the economy and spur investor confidence. Under the theme Towards Vision 2035, empowering our communities, growing our economy, protecting our environment, strengthening our institutions, Dr. Mitchell will lay out plans to forge ahead with a shared goal for the future, envisioned in the country's 2020 to 2035 National Sustainable Development Plan. The 2020 budget will be broadcast live on GIS Channel 22 and the GIS Facebook page. Beginning at 9 a.m., we will look at some of the government's major projects over the past year. From 9:30 a.m., there will be live commentary, and from 10 a.m., presentation of the 2020 fiscal package. Tune in to the Government Information Service and other stations for the live broadcast of the 2020 budget, Wednesday, November 20th, 2019.
Welcome back. The Grenville Secondary School was the first on the list with the resumption of school visits undertaken by the Ministry of Education. The team was led by Education Minister Honorable Emmeline Pear and included Chief Education Officer Angela Finley and Dr. Cheryl Banabi Bishop, Deputy Chief Education Officer with responsibility for curriculum. Details from Annette Moore.
According to the Education Act of Grenada, under Inspection and Review of the Education System, Division 1, namely Inspection of Educational Institutions, 175-1, the Minister, the Chief Education Officer, an Education Officer, a public officer authorized in writing by the Chief Education Officer, and any other person authorized in writing by the Minister may, at the times and in the manner prescribed by the regulations, inspect any education institution. The ministry officials did a school walkthrough at the Grenville Secondary School, meeting with students, staff, principal, and the school's management team during the visit. School counselor Carlton George saw the visit as beneficial.
I also think that being able to sit and converse with members of the management team was also a positive. And to me, it sent the message that there's a level of care and a level of concern as it relates to the success of the school.
District Education Officer Kathy Ann James highlighted the opportunities for interaction.
Districts have been doing their school visits. Curriculum officers have been doing school visits. Sometimes we have what you would call review of schools. So visiting school is not what you would say a first for the Ministry of Education. However, this visit in particular, or the visits what we have put in forward by the Minister of Education as the lead of the ministry, is in a way of seeing the school in its natural environment. He had one-on-one conversation with the teachers. We had the students, sharing how they felt about their school, giving us some sort of feel of what it is like to be at GSS.
James noted that the Grenville Secondary School is in a transitory phase, with its principal having recently retired, leaving the vice principal, Denise Roberts, as the acting principal. The school is celebrating its 36th anniversary this year, and Roberts shared some of its recent achievements.
We were able to have 10 subject areas, recording 100% pass rate at the CSEC exams. And even more recent, we discovered that one of our students, in the person of Nazim Shatu, has made it in the top 10 of the region for building and furniture technology. That has been one of our major highlights, and we are so proud of him, his family, and the school as a whole.
Head of the technical department, Wendell Maxwell, noted the experience level of the staff as contributing to the school's success.
For the last, as far as I can remember, for the last 10 years, we have been performing very well at the technical department. In fact, we have a few long-standing teachers rather, Mr. Best, Mr. Chitterman, they all have more than 10 years of teaching experience. So collectively, we might have over 60 years because I'm teaching for the last 40.
Roberts noted the school's commendable performances in sports, in particular cricket, throughout the years, and remarked that many alumni have assumed roles in critical sectors in society. The Grenville Secondary School has become known as one of the best technical schools on the island, despite challenges.
When we have, like you would say, the technical heads of the ministry coming in, the senior officials of the ministry visiting schools, you get a little more out of it. Because when you identify the challenges that are faced, you know you have the persons right at the top understanding and feeling what's supposed to be happening, and they can infuse more into what you would say the plans that would be there to ensure that schools are properly taken care of.
The purpose of school visits like the one to the Grenville Secondary School are to observe the school environment in teachers during instructional periods, to observe interactions with staff and students, to engage principals, vice principals, senior management teams and staff, observe the monitor or prefect systems at work, and to provide feedback on the school development plan and reports. The reports provided following the school visits are intended to encourage effective school operations. The principal and management of the school shared their thoughts on the recent school visit.
It gave me the opportunity to recognize, accountability, in terms of, we have persons ahead of us that we need to be accountable to in terms of accountability. And as we say, we have other stakeholders who are interested and who is looking forward to see us strive and do well.
I think it was a good initiative on the part of the Minister for Education, coming in with a team to be able to have first-hand experience of how things are happening at the Grenville Secondary School. I felt pleased that she was able to relate with and interact with the students. I saw them chatting and so on. And to me, that was a very good thing. I believe also that the students felt pleased to be able to interact with some of the highest officials in the education system. And for me, this was a major highlight.
I love the visit, the timing of it. I'm looking forward to see some of our weakness being sorted out together with the Ministry for Education. I would like to see the furniture situation addressed. The tools and equipment for the department, we need upgrading seriously. I hope that will also be addressed. And most of all, the discipline of the student. Although it is a school, but we need a school issue, but we need support from the ministry in that regard.
We would like to see continued collaboration, communication and discussion with us here at the Grenville Secondary School.
Going forward, I am looking forward to working closely with the Ministry of Education to ensure that Grenville Secondary continues on the path of upward mobility and development as an institution and to take us to higher heights.
We have to find ways to support GSS and also provide opportunities and systems to ensure that we have a better relationship, to ensure that parents and communities are on board to provide that support for GSS so that they can reach their fullest potential.
School visits will continue throughout each school term. For the National Report, Eminette Moore.
And finally, the rodent-infested section of the St. George's Market, famously called Jamrock, was demolished on Sunday. The demolition became necessary after numerous complaints about some of the activities there and government's move to enhance the general environs of the St. George's Market. The dialogue with the vendors who occupied the booths began in June this year, when they were informed about the demolition. Supervisor at the St. George's Market, Diana Gibbs Douglas, told the GIS that certain structures had to be put in place first before the demolition could take place. She says the vendors who were affected as a direct result of the demolition were assigned booths in the market in accordance with the vending license agreement, which was signed on November 12, 2019, along with the keys for the identified booths.
In fact, they were part of the plan. They knew what was happening and they're happy about it because the booth that they've been replaced to, it's better. It's clean, it's more friendly to the customer, And they all were part of the discussion and planning when those things got, when discussion were going on, and they agree with what is happening today. They all move out from this booth here and go into the new ones, and I think they are happy. They knew a while now that they have to move. However, at the timing, everything just like to disconnect the electricity. So, you have to wait on last minute because of the type of business it does. You have to move from one to the other in terms of disconnecting and connecting. So we couldn't disconnect them, and then the connection wasn't ready in the other boats. With the water, it's the same. And so I believe this last week here, it looks as if it was a rush. But enough plans has been put into it, and they knew they had to move. Things take time. They had to do the necessary documents and everything, and then give them the key. So I think the rush in the last week was a bit hectic, but they knew, and they had to put things together to move.
One vendor who has been operating there for 12 years and did not want to appear on camera says the demolition is a move she welcomes for many reasons.
After 12 years, how important do you see this move?
Very good. Very, very good. It's a very good move. I'm satisfied with it.
Are you pleased with the building that you're going to?
Oh, yes. I'm very pleased. Much more neat, much more tidy, and much more healthy. In terms of no more roach, no more rats, and the rodents and stuff that we used to go through.
So the rodents is a serious problem for you?
Very serious problem. You cannot function properly in the night. The roaches, them come out. The rats, them come out. Well, the rats during the day run right through, back and forth. Sometimes they tend to run on your foot if you're not paying attention.
So your boot was literally a health hazard?
To a point. Because I normally put on rat poison and roaches poison and stuff like that. So I'm satisfied with the move that it's making right now.
Kenny James, the Senior Environmental Officer with the responsibility for vector control in the Ministry of Health, was on site with his team to fumigate the infested area.
We are trying to treat for any sort of vectors, rats, roaches and so on, because we have challenges with the market square here. Many times we are called to do treatment here in terms of rodent control and roach infestation. And since that they are demolishing the part of the market there, it is expected that you'll see large amount of roaches running about and the possibility of rats running around. So we are here now to put measures in place so that it doesn't spread to neighboring places or business places around, because once you expose their harborage, they will tend to move to other areas. So what we are doing now, we are spraying to prevent them from moving on to other places. If you look at the way these boats were constructed, they are uneven. They have cracks and crevices all over, which provide harborage for the rodents and roaches and so on. So removal of these boats and building something that is of a better standard would add benefits to it, because currently what is there provide the harborage for a lot of insects and rodents and so on. So we should see some improvement in terms of rodent control and roach control or vector control in the market square.
The demolition of Jamrock forms part of the first phase of the project. A recent release from the Ministry of Infrastructure states, and I quote, "The ministry will continue to work with stakeholders to ensure that the management of the market is in keeping with the relevant laws and with the approved conservation design for the tongue of St. George," unquote. And with that, we come to the end of the National Report for Monday, November 18th, 2019. On behalf of the entire news production team, I am Sharian Noel, thanking you for viewing.
You know, I'm not at all surprised to see that most of the reaction to last night's edition of the National Report had to do with healthcare. Let me share some of the comments with you. Margaret says, Mr. PM, you hired the managers, so if they're not performing, it says a whole lot about your judgment. That's in reference to the Prime Minister stating that management is an issue up at the hospital and in the healthcare system. It's not the first time I've heard that. Margaret also goes on to say, Nicholas Steele can't be serious about saying the healthcare has improved. Well, he did. He did. John says Dr. Mitchell finds the money to arm the RGPF and SSU easily enough, but can't find the money to help save our lives. Is that it? And then John goes on to ask the question, Margaret, I wonder where Nicholas Steele goes when he gets sick. Yeah. Well, some have it, some don't. And he says here, read the schools. Are those 3 schools reopened yet after the sewage problems? Can't help you with that. Anthea Rollo says, Margaret, he used the phrase, and I quote here, in some form of fashion, unquote. So that alone tells me he doesn't believe his own words. Lord, help us. Margaret comes back and says, girl, every time I get a call from home that someone is ill, my hair does grow. And there's an instant headache. You're not alone, Mags. Anthea says, me too, because I think of all those who went to the hospital not feeling well, but never returned home. If one does not have the funds to make it out, it's the end of the road. God, it's really that bad? Yeah? Anthea, Margaret says, but Anthea, as you will know more than me, sometimes even if you have the funds, your condition may not allow you to be transported, and that certainly is an issue. Regarding the marketplace and Jamrock, I really want to get down there sometime and get some footage of this to share with you. John says, where is the debris going to end up? Maybe Perseverance. I hope that's a logical place. I hope that they're not going to do like so many other people are doing around the island now. You may remember from the documentary we did several months ago about people just driving any place and dumping their stuff. Even in Grenada now I see they're doing that. Yeah, pristine Grenada, a refrigerator. We saw that just a couple of weeks ago, just thrown by the side of the road. Okay. Well, folks, I am not actually going to keep him waiting any longer because he's there this morning, kind of dark-faced looking, but nevertheless, he is there. Let's say good morning to Ra-Ra. Good morning, Mr. Robertson. How are you?
Good morning, George, and to your viewers and listeners. Certainly a wonderful morning down in South St. George.
Yeah.
And couldn't take your call because I was on the beach and having a chat, and maybe too long a chat. But I'm here with you as usual.
And we are happy that you are. I have to admit, I was a little bit worried about you there this morning because I know that if you, when you can't make it, you usually just call and say, you know, something.
I will certainly call or text or send a message or whatever.
Absolutely. So Ray, tell me, man, what's up your sleeve this morning?
Well, I want to talk a little about football, but I want to jump in your debate on health and see one thing that I am not hearing a lot about. George, unless there is a refocus on primary health care, no amount of facility you put in that hospital will make a difference. George, as I look around, I'm not seeing people exercising as before. I know you have more facilities now, technology take up your time. But George, people are seemingly to me eating, drinking, eating, drinking, and the playing fields are getting empty. I mean, I see younger people than me, and they're talking about when they were young, and I still feel, George, just like you are young. So I'm saying, unless that discussion gets onto primary health care, where people can recognize that no doctor ain't gonna fix you just like that. You eat all this thing, you're 300 pounds, I don't know what doctor or what hospital could fix it. People have to be pushed. And you know, the one thing I always say, the one good thing about our Prime Minister, no doubt about it, he spends time finding the gym, getting up in the morning, running the streets, and keeping fit. It may not save you, but I mean, you look at his demeanor, 73, and he looks like early 50s. So I'm saying we ought to be pushing. I agree, the hospital is deplorable, it should be much better. I'm not defending that. All I'm saying, unless we could link it to primary health care. And if you have any doubts, I will invite your viewers and others. The road race season will begin, a cross-country season will begin next month, continue to January. So 23 or so secondary schools will be staging cross-countries. And look to see how many of them will finish. Vast number of them will be lagging, and they're just 12, 13, 14, 15. So again, I want to stress that unless in that discussion there's primary health care, we are not going to get anywhere. Because, I mean, the lifestyle we live, I mean, caters for what is happening to us. Just to finish up on that point. A friend of mine, who's a former permanent secretary, said to me a day, she said, Ray, I went to the hospital, I can't believe it. In the male surgical ward, there were about 8 or 10 of them, whatever the numbers. And either some were losing a toe, a foot, or some part of the body, and the majority of them, nearly all of them, were under 60. I mean, what could the hospital do? You allow it to reach that stage and you expect some doctor to perform a miracle. So, George, that is a discussion we need to get on to, the primary health care, where communities are active again.
You know, it
Carnival is a good example. You see 300 ladies and men in Montrouge for 4 or 5 weeks. You're not seeing them until next year, June again.
Yeah. John seems to agree with you here. He says exactly, Ray, schools with tables outside them laden with everything sugary. You know, even in our schools.
That's good. Well, so we have to keep that into that discussion. Without that, you know, George, we're in some trouble. But I saw your friend and I did congratulate him, Winthrop. He was in the bank and I said to him, when are you flying out to Bangladesh? Not Bangladesh, India. And no sooner the West Indies were beaten. They won the first T20 and then they lost the next 2 T20s. So I haven't seen him since. So he said, new vision, new captain. I said, well, I trust you don't lose as badly. And before I could say it, I got home. Afghanistan defeated them twice. The first and only test begins on Thursday. So that's Wednesday night local time. And George, I want to give some credit to the footballers. They really played a wonderful match on Sunday evening at Queen's Park. It was the biggest crowd, about 2,000 people. But I mean, you would be proud of them if you were at the park or you looked at it on television or wherever. They were just magnificent. There's a young man called Jamal Ray Charles. I call him the Golden Ray. He just seems to be able to find the goal. Scored all 3 goals for Grenada, and in fact has scored, I think, in every match he has played for Grenada. So he's a young man, 23 years old. Hope that he would put more work into his game and hopefully, you know, go beyond just the Caribbean. Because he looks, in my opinion, as an extremely talented, gifted young player. But again, your talent don't take you beyond a certain level. You have to work to demonstrate that you're willing to invest in the talent. So I would hope that now that we are in the Gold Cup final, we would do a lot more work, because that's where you come up against Honduras and all the bigger nations who are, on paper, much better than us. So it would require a lot of work. And the other thing about football, George, GBSS, you remember I did a couple of articles on that. They lost that case to the GFA. They were protesting that there weren't transparency and due process in some debate over whether a player was eligible or not. Well, the High Court judge ruled against them. And and I'm told by somebody who was involved in that process that the fees of the two lawyers could be very high. It's normally when a court go to the High Court, it's not $1,000, it's several $1,000s. So I am saying, I wonder where is civility in sports and in Grenada.
You know, you mentioned the outstanding performance in football on the weekend. Who the heck did we beat on the weekend?
Belize.
Belize.
I took it for granted that everybody knew it was Belize.
Okay.
We played Belize in Queen's Park, and we played St. Kitts in St. Kitts. That one was a draw, and we won in Grenada 3-2. Very good match.
So there's hope on the football scene.
Well, I trust there is hope, because the competition there is not, I mean, it's very tough. I mean, they played unbeaten in the group that included French Guiana, Belize, St. Kitts, and Grenada. They played unbeaten. So you have to, credit them. They went to Belize and beat Belize. They drew in French Guiana, and they also drew in St. Kitts, and they won the games that were played in Grenada.
Okay.
So they finished top of the group, unbeaten.
All right. Just getting back here to healthcare for a minute, Margaret was asking you, is physical education still available in schools here?
It is. But George, again, I question whether there is performance, because I looked at, and Margaret wouldn't like this, she maybe will celebrate it because she know who I supported when she was going to school. St. Joseph's Convent, who I used to call the Ladies and the Blessed Hill, I just can't imagine Happy Hill beating them 39 goals to 6 in the senior competition. Margaret will tell you, in her era, high school and convent, they were the dominant team. Yes, times have changed. High school is still unbeaten, but the convent sports and netball in particular, it's rock bottom. It's not something you would recognize. You would credit it to Westmoreland or, J.W. Fletcher, one of these schools, but certainly the convent of the early years, even up to the 90s, and even up to a couple of years ago, really. So I don't believe we're getting money for value in physical education as it used to be.
So some emphasis needs to be put in that area. A little while ago, John made a comment about the school tables with a lot of sugary stuff, for the kids. And Margaret is responding to him by saying, John, sugary snacks were always sold at schools. And as kids, we had a fill of them. The difference then is that we were also very active. And back then,
correct,
most of us walked to and from school.
That's accurate. And George, I'm not saying, yes, I sometimes get detest about this world change. I really don't subscribe. Some human beings have changed. I may be enjoying the technology that I'm using now to talk to you. But George, I find time to play table tennis or lawn tennis or badminton 13 hours a week. That may be an overkill. But for me, not to exercise in a week, I have to be exhausted, as sometimes I am, or perhaps I'm sick, and that's very rare. But I'm saying to you, George, I am confident that if we encourage, as Margaret mentioned, more physical education activities in school, it doesn't have to be playing sports. It could be, walking. It could be something else other than the normal sports, the traditional sports. But George, you look at, I'm not a fan of Kentucky, but you look at Armin Cameron Park on Wednesdays, and next month, as the school term draws nearer to a close. There are schools that come to the park, and you would think that there'll be at least little baskets from home. You look at the line in come on at Kentucky, which is next door, and then you look at the garbage, and you really realize that we are challenged. Because I'm not talking about a dozen boxes. The garbage bins are filled. If there's 100 young boys and girls, there may be 80 or so boxes of Kentucky or whatever it is.
Okay, I see the point you're making, yeah. Your partner here responds to you by saying, yeah, convent and Anglican high school, and then Wesley College came along and challenged. But there was a lot more physical activity.
Yes, well, in the days, I used to call them her school the Dark Horse. The Dark Horse is in Tanti. And the principal up to today, Miss Mason Francis, has not forgiven me. She said, oh, dare you, how could you call my girls that name and call the other one the Blessed Girls on the Hill? But George, it was just emotion. It was just emotion. So I since has asked for forgiveness.
Okay. Ray, I guess, as a former union man, you've been following closely negotiations between the government and the unions. Are we at the end of the line now? Do you think things are going to settle down from here on? Now that all these agreements are being signed?
Well, I think, in all fairness, I don't know how they can overcome that one, because you see, the fact that they went divided, once one settled, it's actually the end of it. Because you know what happens, George? We as human beings say, well, teachers get a 4%, I want mine. So there's this, because you depend on the members, but when the members start to ask for theirs, you have to cave in. So I don't know if that is a realistic fight. I could understand the president and her colleagues' language. I mean, it's appropriate. You want to keep the base. But George, trust me, from experience, once one group settles, that's it. And I was saying to somebody already on the beach this morning, ask the same question you asked. I hope that the unions that are negotiating with government can again see the wisdom of regrouping. Because you're not going to win any battle. I mean, the government loves to keep it that way. It means they are not challenged in any respect. They're not challenged. But if all four groups keep that unity, I mean, they will impact. Let's take Tau. Tau has people at the airport. Public workers got people in the Inland Revenue Division. Teachers, they take care of 20-something thousand boys and girls. So all you need is that network to say, look, I am taking action and the state is in trouble. But when one wing is already solved with, in the case of the teachers, I don't know what the other two could really do.
Okay. All right, partner.
So I think that's good.
One more thing I want to ask you about before we go, and this is the reason why I'm asking this is because a number of people have been asking me this, even as recently as last night. Attending the Willie Reddit Patrimonial Awards last night, I was asked the question, hey, George, have you heard any talk about early elections? And
I don't see that, George. Well, I don't see that. No, I don't see it. I would think, my take is that the Prime Minister would call it before his 75th birthday. He would call it sometime in 2022, but I don't see next year. 2021, 2022. I don't see him calling that. I don't see the need for it, actually. I think the NDC would certainly need more time on the ground. I would think that he has to recognize that health is not where it is, and it's an issue that has to be, well, it can be fixed, but it must be better than what it is right now. Contract work is a hurtful thing. Too many people are telling you that they can't get to the banks and credit unions. They just wouldn't get a loan to build a home, or, so I would think there's still a lot to do. I think
the
PM
point,
might just chew that up.
Excuse me for a minute, Ray, but the point that was made to me last night is that these elections could be called early in order to not allow the NDC time to really group.
Well, that too has merit, but I don't know that. Well, in Australia, they call it every month or every week. In Italy, it's as regular as you can think. I don't know Caribbean countries go that way. I would think the Prime Minister is smart enough to know that a lot of us are unpredictable. One little thing, and all they need to win is 8 seats. They don't need more. He knew that in 1995. All he needed was 8 seats. So I don't share that view. I will agree that by 2021, 22, something will happen, but not 2020. I can't see that.
So technically, the elections are due in what, 3 years?
In 2022, 23, 2023.
2023.
Yeah, that'll be 5 years. Yeah.
5 years.
I don't see him going to. Yeah.
I thought
next year is 2.
I thought the last. Next year is going to be 2. Next April, I think.
Yeah. So you have 3 more years.
23. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Kipling Francis says elections will be called once he is sure the fix is in place.
Well, remember he's in the driving seat, so don't take that away from him. He's in the driving seat. I mean, look some of the craziness you've seen in some Caribbean islands that are having elections. I mean, St. Kitts is next year. You're getting a month's salary for Christmas.
Yeah, man.
So, yeah.
And they got the same thing last year, didn't they?
Yeah. They're doing it this year again. So I don't think so. I don't think next year is what? I think it's re-registration process. You're going to re-register everybody to make sure you clean up the slate. That's the elections list, the voters list. So I don't see. Well, if you do it, I think it would bring a greater enthusiasm into the NDC because there's a thirst to work harder now. Mm-hmm. Having been beaten twice by a score of 15-0, there's this ambitious feeling that you can reverse the victories in some of the constituencies that were not that large. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 300 votes, I don't really see it. If you do your work, and considering those who didn't vote, if you get all of that to work in your favor, I think the Prime Minister is aware that as many as 20,000 people didn't vote. Tomorrow they may get up and vote.
He's a very astute politician, right?
I will be in everything until I get it. I plan to enjoy the world that God provided and not to stay away from anything.
Okay. All right, bro. Yeah. So you went to the beach.
Good to be with you again, man.
You went to the beach again this morning. That means, boy, you're really, really moving ahead of me. I didn't. And I don't know. I hope I'm not losing my fervor for the beach.
Oh, no, I can't. You'll get back there, man. Don't worry.
I will. Thanks a lot, Ray.
All right. Bye-bye. God bless, man.
You have a good day.
God.
Take care.
All right.
With Grenada poised to record its 7th consecutive year of robust growth in 2019, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Dr. the Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, will present this country's 2020 budget on Wednesday, November 20th, outlining his government's plans to further drive the economy and spur investor confidence. Under the theme Towards Vision 2035, empowering our communities, growing our economy, protecting our environment, strengthening our institutions, Dr. Mitchell will lay out plans to forge ahead with a shared goal for the future, envisioned in the country's 2020 to 2035 National Sustainable Development Plan. The 2020 budget will be broadcast live on GIS Channel 22 and the GIS Facebook page. Beginning at 9 a.m., we will look at some of the government's major projects over the past year. From 9:30 a.m., there will be live commentary, and from 10 a.m., presentation of the 2020 fiscal package. Tune in to the Government Information Service and other stations for the live broadcast of the 2020 budget, Wednesday, November 20th, 2019.
Alec, we're starting work on the house soon, and I'll need your help.
Sure. What do you need?
I got a service application checklist from Grenlec's website.
This looks easy.
It is. We need a new service.
That's option A.
So wherever there's an A, that's something we must do in order to get the service.
So the other things without an A don't apply.
Exactly. The checklist shows us what documents to bring, the fees, and how soon we'll get the service.
So that you realize for all services, we must complete the right application form, have a valid photo ID, and a certificate from the electrical inspector?
That's right. The electrician will help us apply to the ministry for a certificate of inspection. So we'll use the checklist to get everything we need before going to Grenlec. This will make the process smooth and save lots of time.
Okay, might as well get started.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
Why wish upon a star? Our bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas, we'll give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
Mm-mm. I don't want that.
Well, you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this.
Where you get that?
At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who's supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
Alrighty, folks, it's now 8 minutes after the hour. One parting word before we pull the plug on today's edition of Gudday Grenada, and today's inspirational reading comes to you from the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 7, 1 to 6. Let's make that 3 to 6. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, "Let me take the speck out of your eye," when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. First, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Matthew chapter 7, verses 3 to 6. On that note, Georgie Porgy is going to say thanks for joining us. You have a great day, and may the good Lord bless, keep you. By His grace, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9.